Welcome to a late episode of People Are Terrible, you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by to check out this week's episode of the show. We do know we're putting it up a little late, but we always try to get one out to you when we can, and hopefully we'll be getting one to you guys sometime around the regular time next week. But joining me as always, Caleb Miles.
I'm totally going to blow up your spot and say that we had technical difficulties because you were a bastard and you said that we weren't going to have technical difficulties.
Yeah, and I didn't even capture that part of it well.
The second you said that, I was like, this you just doomed us.
Yeah. So hopefully we got all the kinks worked out this time. I'm a little less confident that it's all going to go off without a hitch because let's just face it. After last time, all bets are off. I was so sure that it was going to be good. But anyways, you've been doing some drawing. We were just talking a minute ago about the fact that you're doing some digital artwork. Is this the first time you've got any experience doing it?
I tried it on a tablet once on my Samsung years and years ago with a mini stylus. This is the first time actually like really trying it. It's not like I love it, but I'm not great so far, but it's fun to do.
So on a scale of like 0 being completely different and 10 being exactly like a regular pen or pencil to paper, where would your tablet like land on that spectrum?
Surprisingly high, like a 7 and a half.
Oh, dope. That's cool.
Because when I first tried it on a normal thing, it was like a 3. It just like, this is not like drawing. Mainly it's the difference is it's drawing on a smooth surface now is the main difference.
That's actually a really good point. You're using something that's just generally going to have less friction in a way.
Yeah, there's like plastic. No resistance.
Yeah.
And that's weird to get used to.
That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder how much that aspect alone played a factor because when I had the Wacom, I felt like maybe 7's about right. I would feel like more on the 5 to 7, somewhere in that spectrum. I was hoping for just straight up accurate translation from one to the other, but I do know that nowadays they have like pencils and paper that have a tablet underneath them.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty dope. It's basically like a sketch pad that translates to your monitor.
That's pretty awesome because I feel like where I really like the digital is coloring. It makes it so much easier.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. And actually, we're going to circle back around to a little bit more about art later on in the show. We've got a couple of topics that each of us has picked out for the week. Caleb, what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about our favorite comic book artist.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. It'll give us an opportunity to kind of jump into some of the just the technique and all the stuff that we like in artwork. And so in the past couple of days, I've been made aware that 2 of my favorite kind of kooky celebrities are basically like their own Jim Jones fucking cult leaders now. Have you heard about Kanye West's new church?
Oh yeah, the domes that he built.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to talk about Kanye's cult. It's got a name. We'll get to it later. And also we're going to talk about Jared Leto's / 30 Second to Mars's cult. Did you see any pictures of that?
I did. I also watched the Surviving R. Kelly sex cult documentary, speaking of cults.
Oh, good. Then we got all sorts of weird to jump into when we get there. But as always, we're going to kick things off in the world of weird news headlines with our Worldwide Weird segment. Uh, 100 cylinders of bull semen go up in smoke in a fire at a cattle breeding farm. This is from Huffington Post, and apparently cryogenic containers exploded in a fire in Australia, splattering the burning building with sperm that had been stored for artificial insemination.
How did the fire start?
It's actually a really good question. And I also want to know how big these cylinders are. Let's dig a little deeper.
I don't know why
here.
My brain went to, I want to know how big these bull penises are for a second.
The blaze early Tuesday at Yarram Herd Services, which offers artificial insemination and breeding advice to farmers, caused 100 cryogenic cylinders containing bull sperm to explode and splatter in the building. The fire was a quote-unquote huge blow for the business. Yarm Herd Services spokesperson Aaron Thomas told the Australian Broadcasting Company, the actual cylinders are worth between $500 and $1,000 per unit, but the semen inside varies in price. Okay, so the containers themselves are from $500 to $1,000, and then the semen within them varies in price from $5 per straw to $95 per straw.
Just depending on, so how much are the jars themselves?
$500 to $1,000.
So these could be anywhere from like 1,100 to like $590 or $30 or whatever.
I mean, it depends on how big these cylinders are, because a straw is actually like a straw.
Oh, so a straw isn't like there are multiple straws inside each cylinder?
I would imagine thousands, dude.
I just picture like the cryogenic thing on Jurassic Park where it comes up and there's like all these other things.
Yeah, man. No doubt about it. I think this is just such a crazy story because it doesn't seem to say what the blaze, what caused the fire. It had to be some sort of electrical fire, I guess.
Someone was jacking off a cow very vigorously and the friction sparked. That's my bet.
Yeah, and you know, cows are super easy to come by. I mean, you would think relatively to something like killer whales, orcas and shit.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like, why are they even storing bull semen?
I mean, there's like prize cattle and stuff, and certain breeds are like good. But I think, in my experience, a lot of the finished product of a steak comes from like the dry aging process or the way that the cow is treated. But I also think like Kobe beef, I think, is a fucking specific cow.
So it's like a strain, like a certain subspecies.
I think so. Let's see. Kobe.
Let's find this out. I'm very curious about the Kobe beef.
I mean, let's see. There's Kobe beef. There's what is Delmonico? I don't know if that actually.
I'm gonna say I don't know any of these. I only know Kobe.
Okay, so it's a strain of Japanese black cattle raised in Japan's Hyogo, and is raised according to a set of rules by the Kobe Beef Marketing and Distribution Promotion Association. That's one thing. I work in the grocery store marketing business, and I think it's interesting that like Kobe beef, certified Angus beef, a lot of that stuff, it's like marketing tools. It's owned by a fucking company, and it's not a certification. Well, it is a certification of quality, but it's mostly a brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's mostly all bullshit. I used to work in a cabinet factory, and we marketed stuff, and we had different lines, and it was just all bullshit. One was our eco-friendly line, which meant you got cheaper cabinets that had less wood in them and came in crappier boxes, but you paid more.
Yeah, I guess perceived value. Different high quality beef. There's this new kind that Wagyu beef is a new popular one.
Isn't Kobe and Wagyu the same thing?
I don't know. Let's find out.
See, we're not our beef podcast.
My buddy Steven brought some Wagyu over the other night, and it was really, really good. They were Wagyu burgers, and we actually pan fried them. I watched Gordon Ramsay on fucking Hot Ones, and even though I've always grilled burgers because I feel like that's how you have to do it, he was doing it another way, and I was like, I'm gonna fuck with that and see what happens. And it was really good. They ended up being really good.
So Wagyu beef there's like 4 types of them. Kobe is Wagyu, but not all Wagyu is Kobe.
Okay.
So Kobe is even higher end.
Oh, Kobe is like creme de la creme of Wagyu beef.
Yeah. Maybe that's what they were breeding.
There's a meat market here in, I'm sure you guys have them in Denver as well, but
Everywhere.
There's a meat market where you go and get, custom cuts of high quality meat. And I actually haven't been in there before, but I'm looking at an A5 Japanese Wagyu steak right now priced at $1,199.
Hell yeah, that's my type of steak.
That's fucking nuts.
It's asinine. What's the most expensive meal you've ever purchased for like 2 people?
I don't think we've ever spent more than $200 at a restaurant.
I think mine was like 300, and it was just like 2 entrees, and it was way overpriced. And we ended up getting hot dogs afterwards, and they were better than the actual restaurant.
Oh man, I actually had a really good experience at ours. But that said, ambience goes a long fucking ways, and we were at the very, very tip top of the tallest building in Mobile, just overlooking the entire city, and live piano player and fucking good cocktails, and it was reasonably priced, and it wasn't like some high-end dining experience like you have to go in a fucking suit or whatever, but like this is the Gulf Coast, so like it was super casual. I mean, I wore like a button-up shirt and jeans, but like in a sports coat, but I didn't have to wear like dress pants or any of that bullshit. So like we had a good time.
We went to one, and it wasn't dress code required. We were walking around downtown Seattle, and I was like, hey, I heard this place is good, let's go in. And we get in, and like some people were in like sports coats, some people were in suits, some people were, no one was that dressed up. And we'd been walking all day, and we were in, t-shirt and jeans. And the guy's like, well, but you want to sit at the bar? And I was like, well, no, I have fucking money. I want a table. And he's like, oh, and I could tell. I was like, is there a dress code? No. And I was like, then I want a fucking table.
Yeah, no doubt. I hear that sometimes restaurants will like have loaner coats. Have you heard that? Yeah.
I would not put on someone's disgusting loaner coat.
I would be so insulted. I would have to leave at that point. Like, you can't stay at the place that fucking turns away your money because they don't like the way you're dressed.
It's the stupidest policy ever, dress codes. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't mind fucking dressing up and stuff, but you shouldn't have to put on a suit to go to a fucking restaurant.
The only thing you should care about is, do I have money? That's it.
Yeah, well, and like I could understand not wanting people coming in wife beaters. I get it, because that's more like an undergarment.
Yeah,
I don't know. That gets to a prickly situation though. Even when you're like, yeah, I don't know though. Wife beaters, like you can't get into clubs in a wife beater.
It depends on the club.
Yeah, that's true.
I went to a club once that had a dress shoes policy, and they turned me away. I was dressed really nice, but I had tennis shoes on. And they were like, no. So I had to go back home and get a pair of dress shoes. It was someplace my brother-in-law wanted to go. And I literally show up, and there are people there in shorts and dress shoes.
That's ridiculous. They're loaner dress shoes. What the fuck are we talking about? Dude, this is a bull semen story. All right, so doctors remove a wedding ring from a man's penis. Contrary to what I initially thought, he was using it as a penis ring on the exterior of his penis instead of trying to cram it in his dick hole, which obviously, how would you even do something like that? But
how would you even do the other two? I mean, does this lady have some fucking whale fingers?
Correct. Either gigantic fingers or very small penis. A 28-year-old South African endured a rare case of penis strangulation after squeezing his wedding ring around his sex organ for quote-unquote erotic reasons, according to the South African Medical Journal. The unnamed man was apparently attempting to use the wedding ring as a substitute cock ring, a sex toy that holds blood in the penis to heighten sexual response. This is my favorite part right here. When the patient's mother brought him to the hospital in Limpopo 4 hours later, his penis was erect and blue, according to doctors. At first, they tried to cut the ring off with a tiny surgical saw, but failed. Oh my God, failed because the swelling made it too difficult to get close to the ring without causing further injury. Doctors eventually made several puncture aspirations with a syringe and a pink needle to reduce the swelling. The patient was given antibiotics and painkillers, presumably with strong suggestion to not do this again.
Wow. Well, we know it was definitely one of the white South Africans. That's what we know.
The complete study, as well as some very gruesome and not safe for work photos, can be seen here. But I'm good. I think we're going to just leave that to the imagination. I
know we can't put them on the podcast, but I'm totally going to look at these pictures.
I'll shoot you the link. Wow, for erotic reasons. And the fact that his mom had to bring him to the doctor is just humiliating.
It is, but I don't know. If my dick's about to fall off, I'm going to anyone who's willing to drive me.
Where the fuck was his wife at? She's like, no, you got yourself into this mess.
True. Yeah, that is true. I didn't think about that. She's like, no, I'm tired.
This is a 28-year-old man we're talking about. I would call fucking Lyft or Uber before I don't know. Like, Mom, unless she was at the house, she would not be the first person I called.
Yeah, and that's my thing. You're right. Where was the wife?
She's like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I cannot be at the hospital with the dude whose wiener will fit in a wedding ring.
So my thing is, and I'm getting caught up on this. I was thinking like my wife wears like a 4.5, which I just happen to have. This is literally about a chapstick. Like,
no, but it was his wedding ring. You got to look at your wedding ring.
So it was his wedding ring or her wedding ring?
It was his wedding ring.
Still, though, I mean, maybe this guy got some dick fingers, because I've seen some dudes with some dick fingers.
You would have to have straight up sausage fingers, though. Like,
I've seen some dudes. I had a dude once when I worked in jewelry who came in and it literally was like a fucking key ring. You know what I mean? Like,
holy shit.
Yeah, it was unreal. Like, but okay, that makes more sense. My head went to like he put her wedding ring on. Just, what? Which the other's still weird, but her wedding ring, I was just like, what the fuck? How is this possible?
Yeah, man. I always think of men's as wedding bands. I've never really heard them referred to as wedding rings before, I don't guess.
Yeah, I guess so too.
And you sell jewelry, so you've probably seen the freakish spectrum of hands. So you've probably seen the smallest, daintiest Jeremy hands versus like the big fucking NBA player hands and everything in between.
I've also seen the thing that I used to get all the time was you'd always get women come in and they go, I have really dainty hands. It's like, bitch, you got a normal size finger. Chill out. I know you're proud of your small size 8, but it's normal.
It's very average. I mean, yeah, you compare it to a guy's hand, it's going to be smaller.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there was a video circulating. I guess this Ohio gel incident actually happened a couple months ago, but for some reason it just started making the rounds on the news yesterday. And it is inmate in the yard, I guess, like the little common recreation area. Mm-hmm. And he's looking up. And he's looking up and he's kind of like stepping back and forth, watching something. And then all of a sudden, like a care package from the Hunger Games, whatever they call those things from the sponsors, comes dropping out of the sky. And it's a cell phone and a bag of weed. And he fucking kicks over the cornhole. The cornhole game is set up and he fucking stumbles over that shit, catches all this shit, stuffs it in his... tries to catch it, drops it, misses, grabs it all and sticks it in his pocket and tries to like walk away super nonchalantly. There was a drone fucking hovering overhead at the prison trying to drop fucking supplies off to this dude.
Well, I guess it's a creative way of doing it.
It's hilarious, dude. It is the least smooth. Like, they're so loud, man. You've been around a drone?
No, I've seen them like way up high, but not close enough to hear them.
They scream, dude. They're like, wah, just like if it's disruptive if they're close enough. But yeah, dude. Okay, so it was an Ohio jail, and the authorities have released a video of what is said to be contraband dropped to an inmate. It happened in Cuyahoga County Jail in July, and the footage shows the outdoor rec area. One of them looks up at something off camera, then dashes forward trying to catch the object falling from above. The object hits the ground. The inmate picks it up, hides it in his shirt, and walks off. And it's like, it's just so ridiculous, dude. You know, the minute that he walked back in, they're just like, what the fuck was that? But apparently... this new school tactic is not unique. Like, it's happened a bunch of other places.
It doesn't sound like it's successful if they know it's happening everywhere.
No, like they found shit on top of the roofs and like just like, places where the drones have attempted to get it. But I have flown a couple drones before, but what I've never seen is any of them have like the claw mechanism that can hold the contraband to like drop it over a certain spot. I guess that must be like an add-on. That's
the souped up version.
Drones with...
I've saw one of these on Mythbusters one time.
What, a drone that could carry and drop shit?
Yeah, and also too, I know out here we're doing, I think Amazon is doing the drone deliveries out here or talking about. So I know they must do the same thing.
Yeah, of course it would be Amazon doing some shit like that. Let's see.
Yeah.
There are too many variables, but average carrying capacity for hobby drones is up to 2 kilograms, while professionals can carry 220 kilograms. What is that? What is a
That's-
kilogram?
I have no idea. That's a measurement that I don't know. That's some Tolkien measurements is what that is.
It's
Have you seen the
half
Amazon
a
drones?
pound. No.
They're so if you just search Amazon drone, they're pretty beefy looking, man. They look like they could deliver some shit.
Dude, they do. They kind of also look like you could cook burgers on top of them. they
kind of do.
look
They
like
kinda do look like a
grills.
grill.
Oh shit. Amazon Prime Air. Look out, people. Shit's gonna start getting delivered to you in drones.
I think they're starting to do it in Denver. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure.
That's fascinating. You gotta let me know how that goes.
I just want to do it once just to see it. I'm gonna just sit outside and wait.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna like fly into your front yard and drop the shit. That's crazy. That's
Apparently
crazy.
Walmart, DHL, UPS are all doing it.
Damn, is
And
there?
even Starbucks came up.
Hold up. All right, I gotta see if there's one YouTube video of a company. Let's make sure I got my window capture up. All right, if there's even one company that's actually got footage on YouTube,
I'm certain if anything, it'd be Amazon. I bet
and
because I know they're ones really pushing it because they're trying to take over the world.
Amazon. Okay, here we go. There's their Air's first customer delivery.
Amazon is developing a service to
2016.
use drones to safely deliver packages to customers in 30 minutes or less.
I can't listen.
It's called
to all
Prime Air.
this. Let's see.
Yeah, I was just like, mute
We
that shit.
started
We'll talk
a new
over
private
it.
trial for
So yeah, just drone footage, a bunch of stock drone footage of fields and like remote areas, I guess to imply that you're never too far outside the realm of delivery.
They show one of it actually going.
Yeah, farm. Wow, that fucking place. Let's see. I gotta just go further. Okay, here we go. It doesn't look like the one.
It doesn't look cool like the one. It just looks like a boring ass drone.
They need to put that grill cover on it. Stuff that shit up. I wonder how big it is. Oh, what's it delivering?
I have no idea. I saw another one where it's showing them delivering a package, and it does look like that one.
Okay, he's delivering a Fire TV or an Echo Dot. Small things. You're not getting your groceries from these motherfuckers. It would take a whole fleet of them.
Pretty soon that will be, though.
Oh, man.
Apparently they have a Zeppelin, too.
Say what?
A blimp. They have a fucking blimp. That's Amazon
crazy.
blimp.
That's fucking wild.
And they have a blimp. Amazon has a blimp that deploys drones. Holy shit.
What? That is some like amazing Spider-Man Far From Home shit.
Yeah, like that's some next. We are officially in the future when Amazon has a blimp that drops drones
That
out of it.
deploys drones. That's horrifying, kind of. It's really dope looking, though.
Super cool, but it's terrifying.
What the fuck? It's like really close to that house. I mean, maybe that's some perspective thing that's going. I don't know. This is a trip, man.
What were we talking about? Oh, drone delivery of drugs and stuff.
Yeah, we were kind of on target this time around. It was that first one. We went crazy, bro. We started talking about.
It's me. I'm so delusional from work today.
Oh, drone drug drop. All right. Okay, so apparently the musician Flume, everybody's favorite DJ, eats ass at Burning Man. There is
Flume?
footage for this one as well. Yeah, I have no idea who that is. But being a DJ is tough. Sometimes your deck fucks up. Sometimes you're bombarded by drunk people asking you to play Genuine's Pony repeatedly. And occasionally you'll have to eat ass on stage at Burning Man, which is the situation with our very own Flume found himself in recently. That our very own Flume found himself in recently. He's a Sydney producer. He was in the middle of a set in Black Rock City when he was captured on video putting his face in the rear of an obliging patron. No one knows. I mean, did he really, did he just, okay, it's different, right? If you eat somebody's ass, it's a lot different than if you motorboat their butt, right?
So
I have a lot of trouble making my brain.
motorboating someone's butt.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, if he stuck his tongue in the butt is a lot different than if he just, you know what I'm saying? Like, if she
did
had
he
her
full
pants
rim
on.
job it, or did he just motorboat it?
If she was in a thong and he just fucking brumskeeter, that's a lot different than if he like parted the thong and started eating her ass.
What would we call motorboating an ass? Because is it still motorboating?
I mean, motorbutting?
Motorboating is perfect. Yes.
Flume Eating Ass. This ain't gonna be on YouTube, right?
It literally, I just see pictures of it, and it looks like it's. Oh, here it is on YouTube. I found it. Let's find out what's going on.
22-second clip.
Yeah, I can't really see anything in it.
I see a girl holding a sign that says "Eat Ass," and then
This is not that big of a deal, in my opinion.
I'm not seeing it. She's just holding. All right, what? Oh, girl gets Flume to eat his girlfriend's asshole with the whiteboard sign. So it was her. It was her sign that encouraged the act. Okay.
So it was a girl getting her girlfriend or a guy getting his girlfriend? What was it?
It was a girl holding a sign, like a picket sign, that said "Eat Ass" on it. And apparently it was that sign that prompted him to eat his girlfriend's ass on stage. Okay, here's a video.
Yeah, the video I saw didn't really show anything.
I'm on Reddit. Were you on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we got the goods here. Let's see.
I see the sign that says "Eat Ass."
Yeah, I can't really. Oh, yo. Nah, he ate her ass.
Like tongue in the booty?
Tongue in the booty. It was like a reverse tortoiseshell. Like he just like stuck the tongue in the booty one time. It looked like he penetrated the booty with the tongue one time.
just the tip of the tongue.
Yeah, it was just like a little mint, and he was done. I don't know, man. That's some weak ass eating game, man. You need to fucking check your ass eating game.
I mean, he's known for being a DJ. This isn't the ass eating competition.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's fair. He's the one who, like, I would have never thought of him as an ass eater or even somebody that would participate in something like that. Tell you the truth, I would have never thought about him. I didn't know Flume was a musician. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, I have no idea who this person is, so.
To
me, he's the dude who ate ass.
Yeah. He's the dude that ate ass at Burning Man.
So he's a normal guy. That's what he is.
Yeah, I've never been to Burning Man, but I would definitely go.
Yeah, I've never been to Burning Man. I would not go to Burning Man, and I don't think I'd eat an ass at Burning Man because I picture very stinky people to go to Burning Man.
Definitely not the greatest smelling ass.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I'm gonna eat some booty, it's not gonna be Burning Man booty.
That's crazy, dude. That is getting lost in the moment shit. You know what I mean? Like, what? I don't know, man. You don't get peer pressured as the musician. That's crazy. Like you peer pressure people or something.
Yeah, so you're the one who does the peer pressure.
All right, I'm gonna try to play this video, guys. I'm gonna try to play it on the podcast. It doesn't show anything explicit because it's the angle.
Where it gets flagged.
I'm like, it doesn't show anything, and it can't show anything because it's from such an angle that you see it all except for it, man. It's fucking.
Just put like a peach over it or something.
For sure. All right, guys, that's the kind of content that you can only find everywhere else on the internet. Let's go ahead and switch over. Let's switch gears and hit the road. Head on down to Florida for the Florida segment. Or wait, there's actually somebody else doing that.
Yeah, it's Welcome to Florida.
It's the Welcome to Florida segment. And it kind of sounded like the British Bake Off people just now, but that's cool. I'm all right.
I've never seen British Bake Off.
Oh man, you are missing out on.
Am I really missing out on British Bake Off?
There's a lot of hype surrounding it, and it's just so like. It's so like innocuous. It's so like nice and not super competitive, and there's like really nothing on the line, and the people help each other out. But
So it's
I
like
always
face off, but not cool.
yeah, kind of. I get really high, and all I want to do is have my own bake off, and then I like always lose the inspiration and just go to Publix and get like a piece of cake from them.
I think you making those random shit. You're like pickles with brownies. No one's done that.
There's a reason. So Florida couple arrested trying to have sex arrested Florida couple attempt to have sex in police car. They weren't arrested for attempting to have sex. They were arrested for a DUI.
And then had sex.
And then, yes, in the back seat of the cop car, I guess they were both handcuffed, which obviously questions, but they started trying to do the nasty. They were getting halfway undressed, and the cops realized what they were up to, and apparently fucking tussle ensued with the female, and she got fucking wrecked. Did you see a picture of her face?
No.
Oh, man.
Is she all busted?
Yeah, okay.
But in fairness, was she busted before? Because I picture her to be busted before.
Yeah, yes, she was busted. Now she is double busted, like physically and physically in two physical ways. Her physical appearance busted. Her face fucking mashing against the pavement busted.
Oh man, she is busted. Holy shit.
Like that looks like excessive force. I can't tell. I didn't see the body cam footage. Maybe
she kind of looks like Chucky with curly hair.
Something. Put a fucking goatee on that. You got the lead singer of fucking Rage Against the Machine.
The thing that's horrible is like she's not a pretty woman, but she would not be a good looking man either.
Oh no. Killing in the name of. Oh fuck. And that dude looks like this guy I knew, David Mixon, growing up, he totally could have been the guy in this story. Damn, dude. So yeah, I mean it's kind of romantic, I guess.
It's those flashing blue and red lights, you know, setting the mood.
That blue and red light special.
I don't understand it, but I guess I don't understand a lot of Florida, so I don't know why this shocks me.
No, it's like you're digging your hole. DUIs, man, they don't play around with those things. It's a serious offense. I'd imagine the other's just kind of like the icing on the cake. You can't get much more. I wonder what the charge. Oh,
I was say, wasn't the DUI? I think I heard the story. This wasn't the DUI. They were riding bikes though, if I remember.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. They were drunk on bicycles. They got arrested for it. The lady looks like she could have got busted on her bicycle, but I don't think that's what happened. Where is that coming
It could have been. She looks very much like she would ride a bike though.
Anderson Air is your local.
Shut up, commercial. Well, they were probably trying to prevent getting a DUI, which anybody that's gotten a DUI knows that even on a bicycle, you'll get a DUI, or on a fucking lawnmower, anything you're driving, you can get a DUI on. Supposedly a horse you can get a DUI on. But I feel like, man, give a motherfucker a break. If they're on a bicycle, minding their own business.
Nah, fuck them. I hate bicycle.
I do too. You're right. You got an extra hatred for them being in Denver, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere. Those little hipster bastards.
But that's different though. Hipster, that's a lifestyle choice. These people have already gotten DUIs, lost their fucking licenses, not paid for a registration.
Then fucking get an Uber. Did I tell you about the hipster on the giant bike with the giant one wheel?
No, please do.
So I was driving home. I was sick a while back, and I'm going back from the doctor. And I look over and I see this little hipster, and like curled up mustache, everything, and older hipster, like he was at least in his late 40s. Yeah, riding this old timey bike with the giant one wheel and the little tiny wheel in the back. So he's like 8 feet off the ground or whatever it is, like 5 feet off the ground on the side of the road, right in the city.
So
it's just like,
was it an antique or was it a new bike that had that?
I think it was
look?
a new one. I think it was a new one.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I've never wanted someone to get hit so badly as that person, though.
You were actively kind of rooting for it.
Yeah, that much attention. Like that's to me the sign of someone who's like, mom did not hug them enough, that they need that much extra attention.
Dude, there are like races. He could have been
He wasn't going to erase this guy with his little fedora on. He wasn't.
I didn't know though. They raced those specific kind of fucking bikes. It's insane looking. Like I don't understand what the.
I picture him just going extremely slow. So he was like pedaling like a motherfucker too to make this thing work.
Really?
Oh yeah, his little legs are going so fast.
It's so weird.
And it was barely moving.
I don't understand the engineering behind it. I don't know if it's to help center your balance or, because I think this was kind of like the first bike.
So here's my thing is there's things that I don't understand randomly that people will still do just to like old stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're like, we improved on this for a reason. It's like the whole Polaroids thing that people love now. Like all the hipsters love too. Oh, Polaroids. I'm like, Polaroids suck.
Yeah.
There's a reason we have digital video and digital cameras now and cell phones. Why would you want a Polaroid?
Snapchat is like the Polaroid of our generation.
Yes. It's going to be gone eventually.
Oh, we can hope. Yeah, I liked Polaroids at the time, but going back and trying to look at images that were taken on Polaroid photos are fucking horrible.
Well, they all fade over time too.
Yeah.
They all just disappear, so they end up looking like, they end up just looking like everyone's a ghost.
Do you remember when Polaroid issued a statement saying that you shouldn't shake it like a Polaroid picture?
Did they really?
Yeah, I guess. Had him scrambling to correct the PR nightmare that caused when he said shake it like a Polaroid picture.
That's so dumb they even addressed it. Like that's good. That's good publicity.
It feels like that was the thing that you did. Like that's how you get them to develop. I thought it's like the faster you fucking shake them, the faster they develop.
Yeah, that's what I thought because it's with air, right?
You know what to do. Demonetized again. Boom. If it wasn't for the ass eating segment, it was for the fucking singing hey ya. Boom.
I think we're already delisted anyway because I searched us and you can't find us anymore.
No, they're like people are terrible. Any reference of any words, we're gonna fucking put that shit above this channel.
Yo, we say every word that you're not allowed to say on YouTube.
We are the George Carlin of podcasts.
So apparently you're not. I'm gonna say the word since we're already delisted, but you're not allowed to say Nazi at all anywhere in your podcast, or they will delist you, even if you're being anti-Nazi.
What about if you say I cannot see very well and they miss?
Then you're fucked.
That's some bullshit, bro. If that's all they're listening for,
that's insane.
Man, all right. So, speaking of Florida DUIs, which I mean, that there should be a subreddit under Florida man that's only fucking crazy DUI stories. The story itself, not too crazy. He led the police on a low-speed chase. I believe he was going between about 15 and 25 miles per hour. 56-year-old man. He looked very pleased with himself though in the mugshot, despite this being his 5th DUI. And I'm telling you, man, you look at this guy, he looks crazy as all fucking get out, but he looks like he spent pretty good money on some porcelain veneers, and he wasn't going to let an opportunity to let his pearly whites go unseen.
He was very excited to show them off.
They're so goddamn nice, but there's nothing real about it.
Yeah, like the Milo Yiannopoulos teeth.
Yeah.
See his new teeth?
No.
Yeah, search Milo Yiannopoulos or whatever his name is. Look at his teeth. It's unreal. I saw him. I was like, what has happened to this dude's face? And his teeth are just unnaturally white. It looks like that episode of Friends where
what the fuck?
Yeah, isn't it weird looking?
Yeah, he's all teeth, dude. That picture I'm looking at is crazy though.
Dude, it's unreal. Like it reminds me of the episode of Friends where Ross whitens his teeth before the date. Have you ever seen that episode?
Nah.
Oh, it's a great episode where his teeth glow in the dark. That's what he looks like.
Oh, yeah. I can't help but wonder if that photo's doctored. But maybe
it might be, but he's literally all teeth now.
Maybe it's the lighting in that set. Yeah, dude, 100%. It looks crazy. It looks like you're looking at his teeth in a black light. This guy's teeth are similar, but Milo's he's like kind of a pretty boy, television personality or fucking video personality. This other dude is just I don't know what his deal is, his occupation is, but he definitely. I mean, can you get porcelain veneers for cheap?
I don't know.
I thought they would be expensive.
I'm assuming their dental work's always expensive.
Yeah, I can't imagine them not being, you know, $10,000 or something like that. But I have no idea. I guess I could look.
Yeah, Boogie 2988 or whatever. Speaking of YouTuber, he also got fake teeth. I hadn't seen him in forever, and then he popped up, and it was like, whoa.
Yeah, so what do you think about it, man? If I mean, you got good teeth. A lot of people don't have good teeth. Mine aren't fucking perfect. I kind of think about it every once in a while, but like, what are your thoughts on like the perfect American teeth? So I'm never going to judge anyone for doing their teeth. My wife has braces right now, and stuff. So I get that, you know, but boogies don't look too bad, you know, like they look just super straight. But there's something you can almost, I feel like sometimes overdo the straightness and overdo the whiteness to where they don't look natural. To do the aligners, you're looking at about $2,000. And that's where they'll send you the retainers.
So like the Invisalign?
Yes. Yeah, they call these.
Those are garbage.
Really?
Yeah, my wife had to take those off and get normal braces because it was taking so long.
Damn, that's too bad. I always thought about going that direction, but. And then here's for $23.99, bro. You can get Insta White Snap-on smiles. They're like fucking vampire teeth.
Hell yeah, Halloween. I'm about it. I mean, how much are they?
$23.99, dude. That's
dude, I totally want to buy one just for the podcast.
Dude, I look like a fucking horse face.
And just like not even mention it. Just do the show with my fake teeth.
That's crazy.
For like 2-3 episodes back to back, so people are like, what the fuck did Caleb do to his teeth?
It would make you talk like Billy Bob Thornton, I'd imagine.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I take it.
He's got that slight overbite. I guess you wouldn't have like the southern draw thing, but like just
I could do it. I'm pretty sure.
Prove it.
I don't actually know if I could do a southern draw. I'd probably just end up sounding like Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah, for sure. That's the Georgia accent.
Yeah, you could probably do better. I'm not used to those country folk.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Milton woman accused of biting camel's genitalia to make it stand up. This took place in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which ain't too far from here. But Milton is, I always have one that's from really close. Milton's like one city over. And so she was at a roadside petting zoo, a truck stop petting zoo, which sounds horrible. Why?
Sounds like the story right there.
Why would you do that to the camels? Put them at a truck stop petting zoo. Who stops at a truck stop petting zoo to pet camels? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I think if you stop at a truck stop petting zoo for camels, it's probably to fuck the camels.
Yeah, correct. You're going to do some heavy petting with the camels.
Yeah. There's,
oh, man.
You're going to get a bunch of straws out of that.
That's crazy. Okay, so Iberville Parish Sheriff's officials told the Advocate that Edmund Lancaster of Milton, Florida, had been throwing treats to their dog under the camel's fence. All right, that's a problem. You should not be throwing your dog treats into the camel enclosure. That's why you can't have camel enclosures at fucking truck stops. Their dog went into the enclosure, and Gloria Lancaster of Milton, the wife, I guess, crawled under the barbed wire fences for these fucking camels to retrieve the pet, according to the Advocate. That's when the Associated Press says that the 600-pound camel sat on her as she was crawling under. She allegedly told deputies that she bit the camel's testicles to free herself.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm sure the fucker hopped up right away, though.
Bro. I just tried to stop at a camel fucking petting zoo.
A truck stop petting. I didn't even know those were a thing.
It's so unethical, dude. All of this is so fucked up. Why were they able to throw dog treats into the fucking thing? The dog, I think, was deaf. God, the story's so crazy.
So the dog was deaf. They threw dog treats. The camel sat on her. at a truck stop petting zoo, and then she bit its nuts.
She bit its nuts to get it off of her. Like you said, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it fucking hopped up quickly. It said she suffered injuries to her abdomen, neck, shoulder, arm, and head and was taken to the hospital. Duh. The sheriff's office report said that the couple was feeding their deaf dog treats near the fence, bone-shaped treats inside the 6-foot enclosure, surrounded by signs warning visitors to keep out, of course. So they got cited for leash law violation.
I'm hoping that now they put up a sign that says, do not bite camel's nuts next to the don't go in the enclosure.
And, like, you know how in that first story we were talking about, we totally got off on this like fucking steak tangent and like grocery marketing and all this stuff. To me, that they have about the same like relationship or like the same similarities as what happened here and a leash law violation, which is what they got written up for. It's like, well, we don't know what the fuck any of this stuff falls under, but so you should have your dog on a leash.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, if they would have had that little deaf bastard on a leash, she would have been fine. She wouldn't have had to fucking motorboat a camel's nuts, you know?
Dude, yeah, this podcast is just, people are just uncomfortably, like, just...
People are just shoving their face in asses in this podcast.
That camel, that is cold-blooded for that camel just to sit on her. He's like, I'm going to fucking suffocate you.
In all fairness, though, that camel's ass probably smelled about as good as the girl from Burning Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Comparable, probably.
Probably pretty similar. You know, maybe Flume just did it to a camel and didn't even notice.
No. We've got very clear footage that it was...
I wish we had footage of this. Way more.
Yes, dude. Surveillance footage. Like, I don't want to see the lady even necessarily bite its balls. It could be from a distance.
No, I want to see some X-rated teabagging.
Yeah, I mean... Did she like go for the kill shot, or was she just trying to say, hey, motherfucker, I got your balls between my teeth?
I kind of wish she would have got a leash violation than like a bestiality.
Something thing, like lewd and lascivious acts against a camel. Yeah. What the? Man, that shit is too funny. All right.
That's the weirdest story, man.
So we'll go ahead and transition over to our weekly topics. All right, so let's start with Frank Miller, because I got him.
Okay, so Frank Miller. So when I look for comic book art personally, I don't necessarily look for the most technical stuff. What I look for is something that causes me to feel something and has a style all its own. And for me, Frank Miller is the epitome of that. He has sloppy... I always say it looks like he's never erased a line in his entire life. Like he just looks like he just goes for it. And he doesn't really care about anatomy or proportions to where there's stuff that almost looks bizarre, but in the most breathtaking way. There's something very visceral and kinetic, I guess, about the way he does stuff. And his page layouts are phenomenal. Ronin is a great example. If you want to look just strictly at art, it's next level.
I think a lot about that, and I'd imagine with somebody like Frank Miller, it's a lot of his like he's doing a lot of the paneling and all of that stuff. We know that there are the pencilers that are the people that kind of take the first run at drawing, but before that, they do the panel layout, right?
A lot of times it's the artist will do the panel layout as well.
Okay.
Because that's the whole flow of the comic too, and kind of guide your eye. And I feel like to me that is something that Frank Miller actually excels at.
Really
Dark
cool
Knight
shit.
Returns. Yeah. He's more known, I would say, for his writing, but his art style is just as influential in my opinion.
Greg Capullo. I'm not real sure which one it is.
I know he's done obviously a ton of Batman, but I believe he's done a Daredevil run too. I
really like this version of X-Force. It was like kind of right after their first, I don't know, 5 or 8 issues. He came in and started doing it. I know it was really early run stuff because I had all of the first X-Force, but I kind of liked this version of him. I noticed, I was like, oh wow, the X-Force looks slightly updated, and then realized, oh yeah, this is a different artist that's doing it now. And obviously still very familiar and very similar to the previous ones, but just like his take on it was super cool. And then, like you said, he's done a lot of Batman, and his work on Batman and the way that he designs the character and everything is super badass.
He even did the new Dark Knight Returns with Frank Miller. Like, Frank Miller wrote it and he drew it.
Oh, that's
and
badass.
I feel like that was a perfect choice for it, because he's pretty much like influenced, but a much better artist.
I can definitely dig that cover that you're talking about.
Love that cover.
So yeah, that's definitely like when I was going over and picking these, I should mention and set up. I wanted to kind of go through just years and years of comic book artists. I was looking at different top 50, top 100 lists and all of this, and then going through and actually digging a little bit deeper into like, I guess some of the standout images that they've done, and pick people that I'm like, wow, I really like their take on these characters. And the reason why I kind of preface it by saying that is because like there's some comic book artists that are like well known as the go-to guys. We're not gonna probably bring up the Jack Kirby's, the Steve Ditko's, the obvious most influential people, right? Neil Adams or whatever. Like there are tons and tons of historically iconic artists out there, but I think Caleb and I are kind of just talking about our specific tastes and like the stuff that resonates with us as a form of art. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I absolutely. And this from doing movie podcasts with me, I don't go by critical acclaim. I mean, granted, Frank Miller is a very critically acclaimed. I always just go by what speaks to me. I've always done that with art. I feel like that's the most honest way to do art. So there's some artists on here that, for my personal take, I'll actually go into my next one. I think this leads pretty perfectly into my next. Jeff Lemire, who does Sweet Tooth. And he's done a lot of DC stuff. He's done a lot of Marvel stuff. His writing's phenomenal, but his art for me it's very sloppy. It's very weird, but paired with his writing evokes a lot of emotion. Sweet Tooth in particular, it's a very dark, disturbing story, and his art lends itself so well to that, because there's almost this deformed look to a lot of his characters, and this sloppiness that adds so much, and it makes me feel something in every panel that I look at.
For me, objectively, and when I say objectively, I just mean from a distance, not knowing the source material, not having read the writing and stuff like that. I see almost similarities with like a BoJack Horseman. It's got
I can see that.
Like an alternative sensibility to it, and while I don't have that connection to it, so it doesn't resonate with me in quite that same way. But I do appreciate a lot what you're saying of like, if it complements the story that it's telling, it can totally change the way that you view it.
I love art like that. I feel like there's a personality behind it and a soul. Sometimes the stuff's too polished. I feel like it can almost become too pretty, with art, and it loses its character. He, for me, is one of those people, like, easily in my top 10, where I just love his art so much. And it's not good, it's ugly, but in the best way.
That's an interesting point that you bring up also. It's like the Renaissance in classical art, it was when you had your Leonardo da Vinci's, your Michelangelo's, these very popular like perfectionists when it comes to art. They were doing photorealistic paintings and fucking sculptures and discovering like perspective and all of these different techniques, chiaroscuro, all of these things that like really were able to bring a reality to paintings and all that stuff in a way that nobody had ever seen before. But then students of art begin to adopt these kind of techniques, and then all of a sudden there are lots of people that are able to kind of replicate this photorealistic look. So then what you're left with is the kind of artists that make you feel something or that evoke some sort of thought, and that's when you kind of move into modern art and like how it's not necessarily about just replicating what you see in reality or doing this super polished job. Like you said, it's about bringing some sort of interpretation to it,
That's always my favorite. And I feel like both of us so far with our list, there's always, it's the stuff that it's an interpretation of Batman. It's an interpretation. I just find that so much more fascinating.
Yeah, most definitely. There's a run of X-Men and actually Spider-Man comics that came out around the same time as the Ultimates, and the artist that did them that I really like is Umberto Ramos or Ramos.
Umberto Ramos is, so I've been a huge fan of his forever. I first knew him from actually pre-Marvel, where he did a run called Crimson, which is about vampires, and then a thing Out There, which is like a horror story set in high school. And I just was really, for me personally, captivated to his art because I feel like he's one of those people who's very technically sound. Like he does beautiful art, but it's very deformed, and he throws anatomy out the window very intentionally for a really stylized but yet impeccably clean look.
Yeah, I really like his stuff. You and I had communicated and discussed this list before, and so I was able to kind of dig into some of their other stuff that I hadn't seen the initial run, and like some of the stuff really stuck out to me, and I remember now seeing his Wolverines and things like that.
His Wolverine is so great.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Juanjo Garnido, one of my favorites, man, and only known really for Black Sad, which is a comic because unlike you, I'm like currently reading comics constantly, is one of the ones that really caught my attention just for the art alone. And even after reading it, the story's still worth picking up for the art. I would say it's very animation Disney. Would you think that's fair?
Yeah, I really do. I think it's an interesting mix of that. And then what was that guy that did the portrait of the portrait? He was very classic Americana. Norman Rockwell.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got a little Norman Rockwell-esque nature to it. Definitely that kind of noir detective thing. But yeah, that anthropomorphic characters.
Which I have a weird thing for anthropomorphic animals. I'm damn near furry, apparently, with my taste in art. I just realized this because I have a weird thing about like Ninja Turtles, Black Sad.
I used to draw animal people hybrids. I think that, we kind of...
I drew a monkey person the other day. Yeah, I don't know what. Something's cool about that.
Yeah, dude. I of all of the artists that I was introduced to through talking to you this last time, he is by far my favorite, and I think it is just this really cool mix of familiar elements, but then done in like this painterly, almost realistic way.
And then like some of his art too, because there's violence in it, and in that comic there's nudity, and there's something weird about seeing like this almost cartoony, childlike, like animal creature butt ass naked or bleeding. There's something very weird and unsettling and beautiful and odd that I just absolutely love about it. Like his stuff you could hang on your wall. I think it's that beautiful.
My next one is, and like I said, I'm not going to bring up anybody that gets a whole lot of freaking attention, but Todd McFarlane is definitely one of my favorites, and I love his style with Image Comics. I mean, this is the guy that created Venom over at Marvel prior to that. He had this very specific style where he like brings capes and chains and spider webs to life in a way it's interesting. It was definitely his take on it. Spider-Man's webs were like these big broad things that had fucking knots in them every couple feet, and like it was very distinctive. It was very Todd McFarlane. And when you look at Batman that Todd McFarlane did, he's so pointy and angular, and like got little devil horn bat ears, and his shoulder pads like curve upwards. But anyways, like a gothic sensibility. Like there was this gothic badassness to his stuff.
His stuff, I particularly, as a massive Hulk fan, always loved the way he drew Hulk because I felt like he really leaned into the monster element of Hulk. Where Hulk's ugly, the way he draws him. And I always love that about that. I also love the amount of detail that man puts in the panel is unreal.
Obviously, I took notice of him when Spawn came out, and I do think a lot of the importance of that and a lot of the reason why that art resonated with me so much in Spawn issue 1 is because it was the first time I'd seen colorists doing digital art over hand-drawn images, and it's just such a beautiful look, and people today aren't going to really appreciate that in the same way that we did seeing, even Jim Lee's X-Men issue 1 at Marvel was printed at exactly the same time as issue 1 of Spawn, and I think they were about $1.25 difference in price, maybe $1.50 more for the Image comics, but which were these like independently produced, dark, gritty fucking comic books that Todd McFarlane and a couple people had started up, and the art was on these glossy fucking pages and like airbrushed and shadows and light, and none of the fucking panels were colored wrong, and it was like, wow, this is some game-changing shit, and it kind of did change the industry, but I don't know if for the better.
I think it personally did for the better, in my opinion. I feel like you and me are in that really interesting age where we remember comic books with the newspaper comics and the dot, coloring, printing. And I don't get me wrong, I love that art. That art has a time, but yeah, that era of comics was something innovative, and I would say McFarlane was at the helm of that kind of during that era, in my opinion. Oh yeah, Matteo Santaluco. So Matteo Santaluco might be my favorite Ninja Turtle artist ever. That's predominantly what he's known for. He's does the new IDW series. Another guy that is unbelievably technically sound, and it's very busy in a good way. There's so much. It takes me longer to read his comics than other comics because there's so much packed into every frame.
I actually really like his stuff as well. There's a couple in particular that I think are badass. There's this black and white one with some like samurai looking guys. It probably is from Shredder, and it's all just gray washers, like black and white, and it's super badass. And then the one that I like the most though is or that I've seen is the cover for number 75 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It looks like a fold-out cover with Krang in the background.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Character. Yeah, it's dope. Anyways, I'm sitting here looking at it like this is peak Ninja Turtles. Like, I just love the design of all of them. And then you'd mentioned Shredder Goes to Hell, or Shredder in Hell, and that's fucking Shredder, sweet too.
Talk about a guy though. This dude is just, to me, unbelievably impressive with the amount of detail he can put into his stuff.
Kind of leaning into that idea about really weird and unconventional stuff, the creator of the Max, Sam Keith, did some really crazy, to me it was some of the most out of the box art that I'd seen going on at that time, and I was just like really into it.
So these are my favorite type of comics. I always call them the punk rock comics. All of Sam Keith work, this type of stuff. Like his Wolverine is really cool.
It's badass. His Wolverine's really cool. There's a really nice black and white of Wolverine, the Hulk, and Spider-Man all standing next to each other. It's just really fucking exaggerated features. Obviously, it's not trying to be realistic. There's one of Wolverine with Venom sneaking up behind him. That's fucking super cool. But yeah, it was the Max issue 1 that got me hooked, and I was just like, yeah, this guy's stuff is so weird and just offbeat that I was instantly interested. What's your next one?
So my next one is someone that I put in actually that same vein, which is Simon Bisley. Best known for the Heavy Metal magazine, but he's also done a lot of Ninja Turtles. He's done a lot of like that, again, that punk rock heavy metal, actually not only in the name of the magazine he did, but actually like heavy metal art. A lot of fantasy, exaggerated proportions.
Yeah. When I look at it, I do think of that classic 1970s fantasy artwork that is synonymous with heavy metal of the time.
His version of the Turtles too, I just absolutely love. Like, it's just insanity. They're using guns and blowing people's heads in half, and again, like that era to me, that underground punk rock, live by your own rules, design a character how you want. He is the embodiment of that era, the way McFarlane for me was the embodiment of that like 90s era.
That is a nasty looking fucking Ninja Turtle right there, dude.
Yeah, I know. They're so insane.
Yeah, I'm into it. Let's see what's my next. Oh no, and that before we move on, he did Lobo also, like the classic version of Lobo that I recognize and know. I think that it was him doing, and Judge Dredd also.
Oh yeah, I forgot he did Dread. How could I forget about that?
Yeah, it's fucking, his stuff is really cool looking. I was going through and looking at it, and yeah, he does a lot of the kind of nude warrior women with the big Playboy boobies. Like it's very reminiscent of a whole kind of genre of art. I'm into it. That was another one that I actually thought was really cool. Really clean artist that I like his style a lot is Stuart Immonen. He did a lot of X-Men. He's done Star Wars. He's done Spider-Man, and just his take on these characters is he's taken the essence of them, like what I've always really liked about him, and then reworked him in a way like his Cyclops to me is even more badass than the 90s Cyclops.
Is his Cyclops the one with the giant X in his face?
That's one version of it.
Okay.
But that's not the one. That's not the one I like so much. The one I like so much, he's got the cap on like he did.
Oh, like the classic look.
And then he's got what do you call those things? Like gauntlets or whatever on his arm.
Do you remember that one?
Gold insignia instead of the more traditional yellow. Yeah, he was badass looking anyways. His style is greatly enhanced by the colorist, but I also think that his use of like light and dark and how much fucking black is on the page is super cool.
Yeah, he was able to be dark with a lot of high contrast still in there because he gets to go so dark. So there's something bright and also really dark about all of his stuff.
Yeah, for sure. It's because, yeah, it's almost like he just, like, they fill a lot of the page.
Yeah, he's definitely a different style. Like you said, another one that I would say is more technically sound. Like very clean, does a lot of really cool stuff, but still has style to it.
Yeah, for sure. Mike Del Mundo. I wasn't familiar with his work prior to kind of looking over different things and picking stuff out. And when I saw his style, I was instantly like, this guy's got like a modern take on stuff that is like really unique and feels different impressionistically than a lot of other things I've seen. And it's like there's this real like watercolor free loose essence to it, and he's very selective with the lines that he uses, and everything's got this kind of like washed out look to it. It's pretty cool.
He was someone that I was not familiar with until you showed me, put him on the list, because he was one, but I really like it. The style, I feel like it's really, I agree, enhanced by the colorist as well. It's a really clean, waterly, updated Jack Kirby in almost a weird sort of way.
Sure.
And it's beautiful. Like his other stuff you could absolutely hang on your wall.
I wonder, where one position ends and the other begins. Like you and I had kind of mentioned about is there's these multiple different positions that artists kind of fulfill when they pass these things along in production. And especially like with covers, I think you said it's more likely that they probably did it from top to bottom. But if they are illustrators, it's also just as likely that all they did was just pencil it, and then somebody else came in and did all of those really rich darks that I was talking about, and then somebody else comes in and does all of the coloring that's synonymous with that particular illustrator. Like maybe they all work together.
And I do think we don't celebrate colorists nearly as much as we do, because they can make or break a comic.
Yeah, I think in a lot of the instances that we've brought up, the color plays a huge part in the way that we perceive it. Because like with Todd McFarlane, when I look at his DC stuff, like his Batmans, and it's more the like simple color scheme, and I look at his Marvel stuff, it's like it's not near as impressive to me as that issue #1 of Spawn, and then kind of moving forward with that series.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like I feel like it's definitely. Yeah, the colorist can make or break or completely define it. You know, there's some people who you see them with a different colorist and it doesn't even look like the same art almost.
Yeah, Olivier Coipel. I'm butchering all these names. You actually are like pronouncing them while being respectful. It's a disgrace.
Well, a lot of them is like Umberto Ramos. I said Umberto Ramos. Like, yeah, it's a lot of it's just like grew up in New Mexico. I can say a lot of these names.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So this is another person who like works really well with their colors. It also has that kind of watercolor look to it. The backgrounds are a little more washed out, not a whole lot of detail and all of that. But I just really love his take on these characters. Like I like his Catwoman a lot. I like his Batman. His ability.
Spider-Man's real cool.
Let me see if I got any of that. His ability to make the traditional classic costumes look cool is like mind blowing to me.
I would agree with that. Like the thing that I take away from this is all of these guys are in spandex. The way he draws them,
Mm-hmm.
like Batman is wearing spandex in this, and
For
like,
sure.
the one where he's on the bike and he's clearly just in underwear. And he looks like a badass. Like I'd be intimidated by this guy in a giant onesie.
So many people got away from doing the exterior fucking undies on Batman, and yeah, he's like, nope, we're fucking rocking it. Superman's underwear outside, Batman's underwear outside. I like his Marvel stuff as well. That was a little bit of the DC stuff, but yeah, talking about Spider-Man, I think his Wolverine is actually really cool, and he was another person who like broadened out a lot of his characters in his Marvel run. His Thor was really, really broad. Even his Tony Stark was pretty fucking broad. We'll move on to this last topic. And this week we're going to talk about what cult is craziest. It seems like we've got 3 contenders this week. We're going to take, I mean, obviously R. Kelly's is the craziest. Case closed, moving on. But we're going to go ahead and talk about the other 2 as well. So I just now heard about it yesterday. Maybe this morning before I went to work. I had no idea, but apparently Jared Leto and the band 30 Seconds to Mars like actually did a Midsummer, like that fucking Ari Aster movie, like in real life. What is that?
It looked creepy as shit from the pictures.
It is the whitest event I have ever seen.
Both in skin tone and colors are wearing.
Just yeah, it was just like a fucking, it was crazy, man. Okay, what am I trying to...
So he posted, I saw the link, I didn't really read into it, but I just saw, he said, yes, this is a cult, and he posted pictures.
Yeah, I don't know if they thought that was clever or if they're just flat out like, look, there are no pretensions about what this is. Jared Leto full on thinks he's Jesus Christ. So come on out to this island with us and worship him like a god.
Celebrity worship is at the center of all of this weirdness.
Dude, he's got to be just an egomaniac, right? I mean, all these cult leaders, but
has to be.
Dude, sending fucking used condoms to co-stars, not coming to the set to like keep your mystique up, and like, he just seems like a pretentious asshole.
And the thing is, I actually think he's a pretty good actor, but like
he's
him kind of ruins it.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I think it's because he's such a fucking Fruit Loop that he's able to tap in. You know, it's probably the same with Joaquin Phoenix. I think these people are fucking nuts. But this is something else. It's like, okay, I can see that you would do that to feed your own narcissism, but why would all of these people go out there and do that?
It's celebrity worship. I was talking about this because when we were watching the R. Kelly documentary, me and my wife, I'm like, this celebrity worship culture needs to stop. These are human beings with a different job. That's it. You know? And people are just... Speaking of art, I actually followed someone, didn't follow them, but someone followed me on my art Instagram, and it was literally all their pictures were drawings of Ariana Grande. Thousands of them.
Oh, that's creepy.
That's all they drew. Some of it was really good art, but that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. I feel like if you're the type of person who gets caught up in a cult, you're missing something in your life anyway. And this provides fills some sort of void you didn't have.
So, apparently this is a cult quote has been used in merchandise and music videos and social media since 2013. And he told the New York Times it was a joke response to journalists saying, you have such a cult following. Sure, dude. And then now he's got these summer camps, and they call it it had a name, the Echelon. And they're a group that seems overwhelmingly immersed not in music nerddom, but rather a more general sort of love for the community surrounding the band. Man, I mean, in itself, it's not so bad. It's just that Jared Leto's at the center of it, looking like Jesus. It's fucking weird.
It's very weird. It's a thing that's fine to be a fan of a band and want to go to something, but like the pictures are weird as shit. It looks cult-like.
Can we be honest and say, like, if he was just a preacher doing the same thing, would it be weird?
Yes. 100%.
Is it the all white shit or what?
No, I think there are, because there's a difference between there's Christian cults and there's just Christianity. You know,
yeah,
they're vastly different. To me, cult, when I think cult, I think of isolating people from your family, first of all, and finding a new community strictly in this, and then going kind of like off the grid is what pops into my head.
So then this is less a cult and more of a
weird gathering that has cult tendencies.
Yeah, that looks like a fucking cult for sure. But aren't all churches just led by charismatic narcissists that think they talk to God on a personal fucking level?
Not all. There's a lot of modern day Christian churches where they don't think they talk to God like directly at all. They're, just interpreting the Bible essentially for people.
Yeah, I guess that's the more common thing than that they're talking to. Yeah.
Now there are the mega churches. Those are weird. Those like massive churches.
Yes.
Those to me are weird as shit, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, that's more the ones I guess. But I guess even in small communities, like the preachers are like they're performers, and I guess it takes a little bit of ego or a little bit of self-confidence anyways.
You definitely have to have confidence if you're going to get up there and preach to people about anything.
I wonder what Jared Leto's fucking talking about. I would love to be a fly on the wall for about 5 minutes of one of those sessions.
You know what I've noticed too with like that? I'm going out on a limb. The people who probably went to the Jared Leto cult thing are probably pretty, if I were making a broad guess, probably pretty anti-religion anyway.
Yeah,
and
sure.
And those tend to be, because I do think there is this thing where people do search for a religious-like community, even non-religious people. I've noticed that, atheism is almost for some people its own religion. There's politics is a religion for a lot of people. And it's weird. I do think there's just something about humans that we seek community and similarities, and we'll find that in the weirdest places.
Holy crap. Yeah, I'm reading about this, and it says the band's upcoming Camp Mars takes place between the 7th and the 9th. September 7th and the 9th. Okay, it already happened. In Malibu, it charges $999 for 2 nights of outdoor camping, and you have to bring your own tent and supplies.
Then what are they charging you for?
Dude, it's crazy, because then it says... the pass includes daytime outdoor activities like rock climbing and archery, plus 2 30 Seconds to Mars concerts, which the band's called Church of Mars. There are several increasingly expensive dorm options, but the only way to sleep in a space that isn't shared with strangers is by throwing down $6,500 for a VIP experience. Passes do not offer much better value. Day passes do not offer much better value with a cost of $350 for a show, some snacks, and the cheerful caveat, this pass does not include a photo with the band. Holy fuck, dude. You're talking about spending fucking $1,000 to get in to this weekend thing.
So this is just anything. To me, this just is a business move then when I hear all that.
Yeah. It changed my perspective too. It's like, oh, it's for money. I get it.
Yeah. It's no different than anyone who does a show. It's no different than anyone who does. There's a weirdness to it, like the 3-day event makes it a little less cult-like, but it's still weird.
The band's obsession with money is not invisible to their faithful following, but observing fans discussing the cost of loving 30 Seconds to Mars online can be rattling. There's a sense that while some of them feel ripped off, they also are fearful of fully expressing their disillusionment. Holy shit, man. So, yeah, I agree with you, though. It sounds like a money thing, which moves us on to my next topic, or the next part of this puzzle, and that is that Kanye West has started Sunday services or something like that, and much like Jared Leto's festival, it's like a moving attraction. Like, it's never in the same place twice.
So is Kanye's actually a church, or is it like a concert thing? Because this thing says Kanye West bringing Sunday service concert to Detroit.
It's both. Yeah, it's
kind of like kind of very similar to 30 Seconds to Mars. Is it kind of like that?
It does. It does. It sounds very similar to that. This one, though, is actually led by a pastor. Sunday services setting up pop-up performances in the area. At a glance, the eccentric sets resemble a real church. Speakers, congregation, and a choir too. However, remember this, Kanye West, a man who always does little things a little differently. Sure, there are gospel anthems, but Sunday service is also mostly devoted to Jesus. That means the righteous performances of Kanye West's greatest hits. Okay, so yes, it's what you said. It's a mix between church and a concert, and they literally walk around during the concert with handout trays.
Fucking weird, man. It's, to me, it's just it's money. I mean, maybe he does think he's doing more, but I'm sorry, I just don't. Anyone who goes by Yeezus and does that, I don't really trust.
It's
with
interesting
pure intentions,
because T.I. went and blasted him. He said that he went and he felt exploited because they immediately, when he sat down, they went and tried to get money from him. And then the kind of preacher guy came out and said, he released a lengthy statement basically saying, we've done lots and lots of good across the country with the money that we've made, but we got it out on a loan, and now we need to recuperate it so we can start to do some real good. Again, probably just a scam. You know what I mean? Like, I think this whole thing can go back to money.
With T.I. though, too, like, you're a rapper. Rappers are all about exploitation. That's what they do.
Yeah.
You know? They like, it sounds horrible. They exploit the black community constantly to get money. Like, that's what rappers do. You know what I mean? It's all about money. They are the biggest capitalists on the face of the earth, but then like to parade around like they're not. Yeah. Yeah,
this is an interesting thing. And leaning into kind of the spirituality element of it. Also, like, it seems like he's always got some very specific gimmick that he's pushing behind. Like,
well, he said in an interview that he wanted to be, like the new Michael Jackson, and like his life to be a spectacle like that. And I feel like that's what he's doing.
Well, then, yeah, props to him. He definitely has gone that route with his every choice he's fucking made in the past 10 years has pushed him further away from being a rapper and more into the realm of just like what the fuck is that guy? Like, it's crazy.
Do you think it's actually craziness, or do you think it is? I mean, I do think he's a little crazy, but do you think it's a lot of it's just calculated to be a Michael Jackson-like character, to go down in the history books?
Yeah, I absolutely think it's calculated, but I also think that it's like channeling that thing that he has inside him into something that is like can get him notoriety. I think he's both. I think he's a fucking crazy genius, and I actually like his music a lot too. Like, I even like his 808s and Heartbreak shit.
He's super talented. He's a very talented artist. He's had highs and lows, but with a man of that much material, of course you're going to have hits and misses.
So far, where are we at, man? I think we're both kind of falling a little too neutral on this, and that it sounds more like a concert and a fucking business decision than it does an actual cult. But which would you say had the more devoted fan base? The people that love Yeezus or the people that love Leto?
Probably 30 Seconds to Mars, I'd say at this point.
Yeah. White people are fucking crazy about their musicians.
Granted, there's always artists that are canceled that aren't really canceled. Kanye being one of them. Or like I said, I just watched the documentary about R. Kelly. That dude was canceled 50 different times, and everyone still listened to him.
What was your big takeaway from that documentary? We got to touch on that.
Have you seen it?
No.
So because it's on Netflix, so it's like 6 episodes. So I knew about the pedophilia stuff, which screw him. I knew that when I was a teenager, I actually saw the video. It's 100% him, no doubt, with this young girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew he was a pedophile, which I've been one of these people who I've hated R. Kelly for years because of that. And wouldn't support his stuff he released since then. Now, the thing I didn't know was the quote unquote sex cult part. Like, I was like, okay, it's being dramatic. It's very cult like. Like, he isolates these young women from their families. He put them in a giant mansion. They had to stay in individual rooms. They couldn't talk to each other. They had to stare at a wall when a man walked in a room.
What?
They couldn't leave their room without knocking and asking R. Kelly for permission to leave. They had buckets in their room so they could pee in them.
You're fucking kidding me.
No, he would like force them to have sex with each other. He forced one girl to shave her head and
fuck that guy.
Paint on a beard.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Dude, no, it's I would highly recommend watching Surviving R. Kelly. It's kind of hard to get through at times, but it's borderline like sex trafficking to where he got to a point.
It sounds like it. It sounds like some Handmaid's Tale shit.
Dude, it's so much worse than I thought it was. Like, I knew it was bad. And anyway, he should have been locked up and had a bullet in his head anyway for being a pedophile. Like, to me, there's no room in our society for that. We've been celebrating this guy for 20 years after that, Does it mean his greatest hits bop less? That's what I'm trying to figure out. What?
Does it mean that his greatest hits are not as good anymore?
Well, so my wife was a massive R. Kelly fan, and she was always like kind of in denial. And now she's like, oh man, when you hear some of these songs, he's literally singing about pedophilia.
Yeah, he wrote Aaliyah's first single to justify pedophilia. Yeah.
Yeah, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. And then he married her when she was 15, when he was like 30.
Fuck that guy.
And then even when that ain't nothing wrong with a little bump and grind. Like, it's when you now listen to it and you know that like he was banging 14-year-olds when he was writing it. It almost sounds like coercing, like, oh, there's nothing wrong with this, it's natural.
Yeah.
It's insane, dude. I would highly recommend watching the documentary. I don't know if Victoria likes stuff like that, but we binged watched it in 2 days. We loved it. It's hard to watch at times though.
Man, I don't know. Did you watch the Michael Jackson one?
No, I really want to see it though, because he's my favorite musician of all time, but also fuck that guy.
I hadn't seen it either, and I don't know if fuck that guy. I'm very.
Oh no, that dude. I remember. Do you remember in the 90s where they had that guy finally went into Neverland Ranch and he climbed up in the tree and was like, I'm a kid. Do you remember that documentary?
No.
Okay, so this happened in the 90s. And I remember this kid sitting next to
Michael Jackson climbed up the tree and said he was a kid?
Yes.
Yeah, I vaguely remember. Okay, sorry.
So I remember in the 90s when I was like, no, he didn't do this. He didn't do it. And this little boy sitting next to him, he's like rubbing his leg and he's like rubbing his face and Michael Jackson rubbing back. And I remember in that moment being like, oh, he fucks these kids.
Yeah, something ain't right.
Yeah,
something
and then
right in Neverland.
Yeah, that dude, favorite musician, but I have to separate the art from the artist because fuck him.
Yeah, and on that note, guys, we're sorry. We're sorry that all of our celebrities are a bunch of pieces of shit. But
and
on that
if you want
note,
to join my sex cult, just leave a comment in the bottom.
Yes, correct. $3,200 a day. You can come and be sexually exploited by both me and Caleb. Leave your information down in the comments section, and if you want to help spread the word, oh my god, subscribe. And by the way, this episode was brought to you by blank. Can you imagine like having to actually transition into like a paid advertisement?
Oh, I want to. If we ever get to a point where we have paid advertisements, please let me write the advertisement and perform it.
I think they send the ad copy to you, so you have to awkwardly shoehorn it in to conversations about exploding bull semen.
Oh no, there's I know some like the Collins Sacred Symbols podcast. He'll write them, and they're actually hilarious.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I want to do that.
All right,
if we ever get to that point.
Yeah, I'll be busy editing the video.
And I will be busy doing nothing.
Whatever, dude. Let's see those new drawings, man. I know that we can follow you on Instagram. What's the name of the account one more time?
It's at at work sketches because I'm always sketching at work.
And make sure that you guys check down in the comments or the description to find out how you can reach us on various social media platforms, as well as other stuff that we got going on. And most importantly, and until next time, be terrible.